Hello, Wayne Vos, Profits Unlimited. I'd like to welcome you back to our podcast channel. What I want to talk about is how you can earn $147,000 a year as a one-truck operation and not even break even. Coming to you live today from our Turfs Up Radio studio and always beautiful outside Louisville, Kentucky. You can find us at Turfs Up Radio. There's a lot of great educational information out there, not just from me, but a lot of contributors across the country wanting you to be more successful, more profitable with your company. I got a really great topic we're going to talk about today. Over and over and over again, I hear $1 a minute. You know, you look on these forums and whatever it may be, social media wise, and guys say $60 an hour, $60 an hour. They want to hammer that $60 an hour price out. What we're going to talk about today is how you can earn $147,000 a year as a one-truck operation and not even break even. The answer is simple. $60 an hour is not the right answer for 99% of the contractors in this country. We think it is because we've been told it is, we read it is, but I'm going to show you how if you're mowing 20 yards a day at $30 a lawn, because that seems to be the magic number for a lot of different markets. You guys know I go all over the country talking to contractors, and it seems like at $30 a lawn seems to be the number for a lot of markets, okay? I'm not saying that's right or wrong for anybody. I'm just saying that seems to be a number. For some reason, the contractors have come up with as being right. So we look at 20 yards a day, which you may be mowing that many, you may be mowing more than that, but I'm using 20 a day as an average. At $30, that's generating $600 a day. Now, a lot of you guys I read also that says, hey man, I'm working 7 days a week, or we're working 6 days a week and we're going daylight to dark, whatever it is. Key in how long you're actually working. But if you just work with these numbers, I think you'll see that I'm coming up with a very valid number here that says how a guy can go out and generate $147,000 a year and not make any money mowing lawns. It's real. You may think it doesn't sound real. You may not want it to be real, but at the end of the day, it's a real number. And it's a real number based on these facts. 20 lawns a day at $30 each is $600 a day, right? If you're doing $600 a day times 7 days a week, that's $4,200 a year. Now, what I've done is taken $4,200, that's $4,200 a week. What I've taken is that $4,200 a week of gross dollars generated and multiplied that times a 35-week season. Okay? Now you may be saying, well, Wayne, I'm down in Sarasota, Florida, or West Palm Beach, Florida, and I've got a 40-week season. That's great. Take whatever you're generating times the number of weeks that you're providing that service. Or you may say, hey, I'm up in Detroit, Michigan, and I'm doing a 28-week season. The point is, figure out how many weeks of service you're providing and then take the number of lawns you're doing at the rate you're charging and multiply it by that number. If in fact, let's just bring that down just a little bit. Let's just say a guy is only working 5 days a week. What we've got then is a guy that's generating, or a contractor, a lady, just a contractor in general, that's generating about $105,000 a year. And you think, how can I not be making money at $105,000 a year? Because, I'm charging $30 a lawn. I'm getting 2 yards done at least at $30 a piece in an hour. That's $60 an hour. $60 an hour seems to be the right number. I'm here to tell you that $60 an hour is not the right number for 99% of the companies in the country. And you don't have to believe me on it. I'm going to show you here in a minute why it's not. I'm going to go through some cost sheets here that are going to show you where your break-even point is over $60 an hour as a one truck operation. You may be saying, well, Wayne, I'm running 2 trucks, or I'm running 3 trucks, or I don't care if you're running 100 trucks. What we got to do is figure out what it costs us to run each of those trucks that we run, whether it's 1 or 100, and implement that methodology to get us to a cost per hour of operation to go out and mow lawns, or do landscaping, or fertilization or weed control, or do it whatever you want to do. In this specific video, we're talking, about a person that's going out and mowing lawns on a daily basis, and how you can go out and generate $105,000 a year mowing lawns 5 days a week and not even break even. Not even break even. Because you look at $105,000 and you think, man, there's no way that's right. It is right. What you got to know before you go out and you mow a lawn, whether you're mowing 1 lawn or 20 lawns or 100 of them or 1,000 of them, doesn't matter how many you're mowing, you've got to know what it costs you per hour to operate. And that's what Wayne Voles, me, I'll point the finger at me first, right? You know, you guys that have heard my presentations always say what straightened my company out is one day I was talking like this, and I was pointing a finger and saying, my competitor's killing me. He's killing me. She's killing me. She's killing me. And as I was pointing one day with my finger, I realized that, you know what? They might be part of the problem, but I got these 3 fingers right here pointing back at me, asking me, what am I doing different and better than my competitor, other than going out and bidding jobs like them based on what I perceive and they perceive is what the market will bear. You cannot charge based on what your competitor's charging without knowing first what's it cost you to do the job. That is an absolute recipe for failure. Regardless of who you are, how smart you are, what type of education you have. You know, I talk to a lot of contractors in this country that have got degrees from college, but they can't tell me what it costs them per hour to operate their business. I was that same person. I'll point that finger back at me. Degree from college, had no idea why I was charging what I was charging, other than the fact I was doing it like everybody else was doing it. All my competitors out there in Louisville, Kentucky, were doing it that way. And I hear that all over the country and in Canada that, Wayne, you don't know our market will never bear it. I'm not going to tell you what to charge. I'm going to show you how to calculate cost per hour of operation so you know where your break-even point is. That's what I didn't know. That's what most contractors don't know. And that's why our failure rates are so great for our industry. The company that fails in 1 or 2 years is the lucky company. It's a company like ours that we were 9 years in thinking we needed more work. We didn't need more work. We needed to have a different clientele, but we were trying to be everything to everybody versus something for somebody. And once we sat down and we calculated our cost per hour of operation, and we weren't that far off. We were only a few dollars an hour off. But when we looked at it from just being a few dollars an hour off, and we ask ourselves this question, well, how many hours of service are we providing in a year? And then you get to thinking, okay, well, there's 2 trucks and it's me and my brother and at least 1 helper each. Now we got 4 people, right? At a minimum of 40 or 50 hours a week. All of a sudden, when you start doing the math on that, that becomes a huge multiplier that gets us to a number that we're talking about today is, you know, how do we generate $105,000 a year working 5 days a week and not make money, or $147,000 a year working 7 days a week and not making any money? The answer to that is very simple. You don't know why you charge what you charge, and you're doing it like everybody else is doing it, and you're believing the fact that $60 an hour or $1 a minute is the right answer. What I want you to take away from this video with, and this podcast, is simply this. $1 a minute or $60 an hour is not the right answer for 99% of us in this industry. It's just not. I'd be willing to say 100%, but I know there's going to be that one contractor out there, or that 1% of contractors out there that says, no, Wayne, mine is below $60 an hour. And Merry Christmas, hallelujah, if that's you. But what I can tell you, in speaking to thousands of contractors since 1990 across the United States as a whole, 35 different states we've been in, and Canada, $1 a minute don't get it for most of us. You need to sit down and calculate your cost per hour of operation, similar to what's on this sheet, that shows you, hey, what's that rider cost me? What's that push more cost me per hour? What's my weed eaters or my weed whackers or my string trimmers, whatever you call them in your market? What do they cost me? What's my trailer cost an hour? What's my truck cost an hour? And the mindset we get in is, well, my truck's paid for, or my trailer's paid for, or my lawnmowers are paid for. The bad part about this industry, it doesn't matter if it's paid for. You know why it doesn't matter if it's paid for? Because sooner or later it's got to be replaced. We're in a very overhead-driven service when you look at mowing lawns. Whether you're mowing 30 of them or 3 million of them, it doesn't matter. It's a constant rotation of equipment that we have, and if we're not bidding our jobs properly, we're going to be out there generating $105,000 a year and not even breaking even. Working 5 days a week, doing 20 lawns a day at $30. You owe it to yourself to understand why you charge what you charge, so you're not out there generating a lot of dollars like we were at Wayne's Lawn Service. Like I said, we were generating about $300,000 a year, but we were spending $310. So can we agree that the volume doesn't matter? It doesn't matter how much volume you're doing if the first one's not right. The only thing that's happening is cash flow's increasing because we're doing more work. The number of customers is increasing, but what's not changing is our profit margin. And we got to understand the need to make a profit. I think everybody watching this video understands the need to make a profit. We just don't understand, in a lot of cases, how to really figure out what our break-even point is so we can go out and make a fair profit. I was reading something just a couple days ago. Kevin Kehoe put it out, and he was talking about the benchmark for the industry. To be in the sweet spot of the industry, the upper echelon, the benchmark is a 12% margin now. Where not too long ago, 20% was that same benchmark. What's our takeaway from that? And I'm not saying that's exactly right or 20% is exactly right. But what I do know is from operating a business and being a business consultant, is that number is pretty close to being right from what I've seen working with commercial contractors across the country. We got to know where that break-even point's at. And the only way we do it is have a methodology in place similar to what is on this sheet, that we break down our cost per hour of operation for our trucks, our trailers, our weed eaters, our blowers, our labor, to come up with a break-even point. And then we can add our each individual overhead that's going to be different for every one of us. Then we're going to get to a break-even point.